I'm Charlene Smith. I'm a class teacher for pupils with profound multiple learning difficulties within a special school. The majority of the pupils in my class have got a vision impairment, and we use positive looking both as specific individual sessions that are our positive looking sessions, if you like, and within the day-to-day curriculum. It's a major part of what our day is built around, really. We've got those individual sessions. We have a HLTA from our VI team comes in weekly and delivers those sessions within our individual classes, and that has really given that support we've had. We've got very excellent connections with our VI service, and they're wonderfully supportive. I can't talk highly enough of them, really. They really are very, very supportive to staff in particular, and really help the staff have that confidence then to be able to work with those pupils far more effectively. And they've had a major impact on me, certainly personally. And I think what that has given when we've had these group sessions is everybody then has seen the same things. Everybody within that group, the staff, have all seen the same things when we've been working with those pupils. And we've really then been able to take on those things and being able to look at, okay, this is what we do within that group session. How can we then expand it so that it ripples out throughout the entire curriculum, and that those day-to-day things that we are doing, what are we then doing to make those more vision friendly, to enable those pupils to really be able to use their vision more effectively. And we have had some huge success with that, just being able to adapt the environment in those small areas to really focus in on getting those pupils to use their vision more effectively. We've got trays that we've covered in IKEA trays with handles. I've got black cards on the back that we've got little hooks in so we can hang things. And the good thing about those trays is that we can really hold them up to that pupil's line of vision. You know, the majority of our pupils quite often are in other pieces of equipment, so they might be in a lying down position, they might be higher up in a standing frame, they might be in a walker, they might be lower down on the floor, and being able to have that maneuverability of things and still be able to get to where their line of vision has been really crucial. And taking an idea I think you put on the group before, Gwyn, is the black Favlon material to put on the trays. We've invested in a load of that, and at the moment one of the members of my team is currently doing that. So all the standing frame trays, or the wheelchair trays, or the class chair trays are currently being covered in black material. It's a very long job. I give her credit, she's doing amazing work doing that. But already you can see how, just looking at the line of standing frames that have already been done, and just how much more eye-catching that black background is on all of those trays. And you can just see already that that's going to make a huge difference, because some of those were see-through trays as well. You know, they just automatically came with see-through trays, so that's going to have a major difference as well. Just huge, you can see that already. So little things, you know, just amazing little things, that little changes we've been able to make to the environment that is going to have a major impact on really being able to see how much more effective those pupils can actually use their vision. And I think that's that common language that from that framework of being able to use that consistently throughout the day. So, you know, we have our sensology session in the morning, which always has an element of using vision, or specifically a vision stimulus to use, and that is that using all that common language is very crucial in that. So already we've got new staff who've come into me. It didn't start with me in September, started slightly later in the term, and already some of those are starting to use some of that language of, they're fixating on that, and they're writing in their work file sheets, so they fixating on that stimulus. Or they started to scan, and even questioning, does that mean scanning? Does that mean transferring gaze? And just wanting to clarify it in their minds, because it is brand new for them. But I think that confidence, being able to have that common language, then that once they've got it, they've got that confidence to use it. And that certainly is key when you've got loads of other things around schools, that other bits of language that maybe staff don't understand, being able to have that really simplistic, once they've got it and we're using it consistently throughout the day, they are confident in using it. And that again has made a huge difference to pupils, because once they know then where those pupils are, they can start saying, okay, well, we can give them those options. So if we know they're transferring A's, we make sure when we offer them things throughout the day that we're offering them 2. We won't look at 3, we won't look at 4 if that's not where they are at the moment. But as soon as they start then going, we start saying, oh, we're starting to scan now. Oh, well, we can offer 3. And then look at, okay, once they've got 3, then do we maybe start looking at offering 4? Or do we then start looking at maybe offering pictures, if that's appropriate for them? So being able to look at where they are from a vision point of view, and then being able to start forward planning to where maybe we want them to be by the end of the year, and again, all using that common language to be able to make sure we all know exactly where we are now and where we want to be down the line.
That sounds amazing, Charlene. Can you give me an example of how you're using positive looking in literacy, in story time? How do you bring the visual skills into story time?
So all our sensory stories have an element of every sense in them. And when I do my sensory story plan, I have the words that I'm going to say, I have the stimulus we're going to use, what sensory skill they're going to be developing, and then my next column is sort of what I'm looking for. And within the vision ones, again, the common language, we're starting to write into that that particular stimulus is 1, so we're going to look at getting their intention. We want them to fixate, we want them to locate on that stimulus. If it's an object, that there might be 2 objects, again, we're adding the transferring gaze in. And then for some pupils, we might be saying, we're just going to add more into this, and then add the scanning feature into that as well. So we try and make sure that within all our sensory stories, the 3 main sort of sensory elements that we have more of our vision, we tend to have more stimulus that we can feel, and then we have more that we hear. Taste and smell tend to be ones that we do include, but that we don't have as high numbers of those during our sensory stories. So within our sensory stories, we might have 3 or 4 different sort of vision stimuluses within that one story, scattered within different parts of that story. So they're mixed, they're not all the vision ones in one sort of lump, they're mix and match throughout the story. So there is that sort of element of surprise maybe for some of the pupils as well, about which skill they're going to be using during that story. And then again, building up that anticipation within that story as well. So as soon as you might start saying something or saying part of the story, or they start seeing you get something out of your bag, they know automatically that as time goes on, they know automatically that's going to be something that you want them to look at, or I know that's going to be a sound come in. And again, even with the sounds, what we're noticing with those is as soon as you get it out, they clock into that, and their location is immediate, and they're really looking around towards the source of the sound as well. So really taking in more of that classroom environment, and so scanning that classroom environment as well to be able to locate the source of the sound. So being able to link in both elements of vision skills and hearing skills as well.
I love that you're doing both together, Charlene, because I see positive looking actually as a multisensory approach to literacy, to just including visual skills within the day-to-day setting. And we're promoting visual skills, not assessing them. So actually using your auditory skills as well, combined with your visual skills, combined with tactilely exploring the object, I think is all reinforcing the development for the child, and it does give that nice multisensory approach. You're covering all the literacy access skills very beautifully by doing that. So I know before you were telling me about one of your students that you've had that's about to leave you, that's been with you for 5 years. Can you just tell us a little bit about the difference positive looking has made to that particular student, without obviously sharing names and things.
Yeah, of course. It's been massive. It's been hugely positive for her. She when I first started in the school, she moved up into that department with me. So we sort of started in the class together. And she's a pupil who's registered blind, and I think had always had a little bit of, if she didn't want to engage, she wouldn't engage. What Positive Looking and the group sessions in particular have done for her is encourage her to engage. That session is very engaging for her, so she wants to participate. And then as a result of wanting to participate, you can see that those vision skills and how she's using her vision has just shot up incredibly. And from being a child that you would struggle to encourage her to locate and to fixate on things, particularly for any length of time, she's now way up the top and looking at using pictures during our group sessions as well. And she's just scanning. Her scanning is exquisite. You look at her scanning and she's just that prime example of bum bum bum. It's just beautiful sometimes. And then this year we've introduced, prior to COVID, we wanted to introduce photographs. She was off for a long period of time during COVID shielding. So we sort of reintroduced her initially back into those sessions, and then we started introducing the photographs. And I will be honest, I was a little bit apprehensive. That maybe the photograph element of it would take away some of what she'd been used to, but maybe some of the fun of the pom-poms and the fun of the instruments, and maybe that would disengage her slightly. So I was a little bit concerned about that, although it was definitely misplaced, because she engages with everybody else in the group. So when everybody has their little turn, she's watching as everybody has their turn. She's listening as everybody has their turn. And when it comes to her, then she's just straight onto the photographs. And then as soon as she sees that pom-pom, she's chosen whichever colour pom-pom she's gone for. And as soon as that pom-pom's given to her, it's almost like that sense of recognition of, yes, I did make that. I made that choice. I looked at those photographs. I said what I wanted, and then I've been given what I wanted. And the same with the instruments. And it definitely didn't do what I thought it was going to do. It hasn't disengaged her at all. And she's made some excellent progress. And I think now she is going to start having some other photographs more within the more random photographs, if you like, to start learning those, because I think she's really engaged so much now that I think she's open to trying things which are a little bit more complicated, and a little bit more not necessarily within that initial session. So we've introduced it within the Positive Looking sessions with the VI service, and they've been really positive for her. And I think now that we can start looking at giving her additional options within other parts of the school day with those photographs. And that's certainly not anywhere I thought she was going to be a few years ago. Yeah. So it's just been incredible. And like I said, just that even more incredible in some ways than the progress in her vision skills is definitely the progress in her confidence and her wanting to engage and wanting to be part of the group and wanting to be doing things that maybe she wasn't doing when she first started. And your problem solving skills, there are things that she's now doing, and she's really having to use a lot of skills together, including her vision skills, including her physical skills, and things like different objects. You can give her different objects on a tray now. The black tray that's now covered in black, and she's now able to locate it from different locations within a tray, pick it up in one hand, transfer it to her other hand, use her body to manipulate the object. She's looking at where it is. She's really now aware of what she's holding, what she's exploring, a lot more than she ever used to be. And I think I think it all links together. And I think that confidence in those sessions and the positive looking and the realization, I think, for her that she's very good, and she's now making really good progress in those areas. I think it's just enabled her then to fly in other areas, and it's all linking together for her really nicely.
It's so interesting, Charlene, to get that bigger picture, particularly somebody who's been using positive looking for 5 years, or you've been implementing those approaches for 5 years, to see that outcome, particularly with somebody who's registered blind as well. So, you know, but what you've done is you've absolutely ensured the maximising their use of vision, and really promoted their use of vision. And actually she actually realizes that, doesn't she?
Yeah, definitely.
She realizes she can use her own vision,
yeah,
to access, which is that's an incredible case study.
Yeah.
Really, that's really wow. What sort of photographs do you show her?
So we've got photographs of all the pom-poms, so we've made them as obviously as vision friendly as possible, and we use that black tray, so she's got those photographs on the black tray. What we were initially doing was sticking them onto blue tack and then sticking them on the tray. So we went back to 2. We've gone back to 2 photographs with her. She was on 3 objects. We've gone back to 2 photographs with her to start her off. But what we were finding is, and what with the instruments, what she was doing, and with the objects, what she was doing some really very excellent visually directed reaching out for those objects and touching them and trying to take them for herself. And what we were finding with the photographs is she was also then trying to do the same, but obviously because they were all stuck onto the tray, she was finding that slightly frustrating. So what we did was got rid of the blue tack, and we've just hole punched the photographs and put a little bit of ribbon through them, and we've now hung them onto the hooks that she was used to having the objects hung on those hooks. And we're finding that is then she's still using that skill, wanting to use that visually directed reach, and it's not frustrating her then, because she is able then to grab that photograph that she wants. And a little bit more practice, I think she'll really be able to not only just reach out and touch it, but she'll be able to start lifting them off the hooks herself. Which will, again, giving her the independence, and again, that's another skill that we're practicing in other areas, being able to reach out for things, being able to take things and explore things, and really be able to link all those skills together is crucial for her. But what's really nice as well is we've also started, she's a switch user, and initially she used to be a switch user with one switch attached to an arm. The arm was attached to a wheelchair, and you used to have to put it quite close to her to really, for her to be able to not only see where it was, but then be able to use the direct reach to reach out for it. What we're now able to do is basically be able to just lift that switch up and be able to put it in any sort of position for her, and she's clocks it straight away visually, and then is then able to develop that visually directed reach to be able to reach out for it no matter what odd position you put it into, and she finds that highly amusing whenever you put it into a slightly odd position. And what we've now also started is doing tool switches with her, and that's she's then having to explore both switches, because we haven't told her initially which switch we've put the Big Mac onto. So when it's her turn to say good morning, she might reach out and touch one switch, and there's nothing attached to it. So then she's then got to work out, okay, well, I now need to try and press the other switch. And again, that has she's really flown with that. And we'd started that prior to the pandemic, and obviously then we went back to one switch when she came back to school, but we've gone back to the 2 switches now, and that's been huge. So we're now she knows there's 2 switches, she knows she can reach out with 2 switches. We're now able to use 2 switches in completely different ways as well, being able to have 2 different things on the go, and being able to really maximize, again, independence, again, choice making, and again, link those skills together really nicely.
Beautiful, Charlene. I mean, it's incredible. But so you're actually you're taking it into you're taking positive looking as a multisensory approach into a whole day, which is the whole point of it, really. But it takes a while and doesn't happen overnight, does it?
Definitely.
Have you heard of just thinking of your photographs and getting a black background on them. Have you heard of something called remove.bg?
All right, okay.
So if you go on Google and just type in remove.bg,
yeah,
you can upload your image. This is all free. It's a brilliant tool. I love it. I'm obsessed with it. It removes the background. So if you take a picture of your photograph, take a picture of your object, and you've got and you want to get rid of the background, so you just upload it. It removes the background, and then you just choose colour on from the options on the right hand side, and scroll down to black, and it puts it on the black background.
So in terms of assessment, when we have our group sessions, there's a recording sheet that the VI team come in with, and that then highlights all the elements of the positive looking framework, and then how it's been used with objects, how it's been used with lights, and it is really nice and simple, because it just means that all the staff in the class can do it. It's a simple tick box. We can add the extra comments in. So we've started looking at adding extra comments in about positioning, where they're doing visually directed reach, or they're doing scanning, which side they're looking at. Are they more of a centre? Are they more of a left or a right? And again, that's been quite nice to give a little bit of extra information. We've started maybe adding little comments about if there are any preferences on colours with pom-poms, for example. Some of our pupils have got CVI, so red and sort of yellowy golds tend to be quite popular. But what we have noticed by having a little bit more thought over those, what we have started noticing with some of the pupils is that actually, since they've come back in September, some of them are going for slightly different colours, rather than the standard reds and yellows that maybe they were going for previously, which has been nice to see that little bit of difference. They aren't going for those automatic ones that will stand out for them. And in terms of assessing, then they tick which ones have been achieved during that session, and then the VI team take them off then, and they're able to plot them on the graphs to be able to see where they are. And what we've also got as part of the Roots for Learning framework is the numbers 1 to 6, and in terms of going from an awareness to building up those connections for number 6, they're able then to identify where they were in that session. And we've started using that 1 to 6 framework a little bit more consistently in other areas. So we're using it in sensology as well, and we're using it in TACPAC, and we're using it in sensory stories. And again, because staff are more confident of where they'd be roughly placing those children during positive looking sessions, they're then able to take that to other areas of the curriculum as well. And I think again, then we've been able to see where, 1 week the level of understanding and the level of use of vision might be around about that sort of middling, so 3 to 4 sort of area. We're then able to think, okay, well, where do they need to go? What do we need to see for them to be able to be slightly higher? Is it a little bit more confidence? Is it for them to be a little bit quicker maybe in using things? Is it for there to be more elements added in? And again, with those other areas of the curriculum, we're looking for, is there for some of our higher children who are sort of hitting those 5s and 6s quite regularly, we're now seeing them use, certainly like I said earlier about the vision and the sound, they're now locating the sound, but not just locating the sound, but they're responding to the sound as well, and everything linking together. So they've got that response to what they're seeing, or the response to what they're hearing, and then actually using that skill alongside it as well.
I love that, Charlene.
And the graphs look really nice, actually. And we've started doing the graphs with the sensology and with the TACPACs as well. And you're really able to see then those. And for some people, it is a little bit of, we're making some progress and then something happens and then there's a little bit of a dip. But we're able to identify now where those dips are. And then you can look back at it and go, oh, that was a week they weren't very well, or that was a week there was a lot of distraction. And we do have weeks when there are a lot of distractions, but you're able to really pinpoint where those little dips are and really identify why there was a dip. And if then for some pupils there was a progressive dip, maybe over a number of weeks, we're then able to look at it and go, okay, well, maybe we want to go back a little step just to build up a bit more confidence to be able to move on back to the previous.
Yeah. Do you use the graphs out the door? What's your long-term goal, Charlene, now? Because you've been using positive looking for quite a while. What's your goal? What's your what's your vision for positive looking?
I think I've recently done the Positive Looking 2 course with you as well, Gwen. And I think that is now my next step, is looking at how that progresses then from one to the other. So for some pupils, we've got that group of pupils who've been using Positive Looking 1 now for a long time, and that group of pupils, as they carry on and they go up to school, continue to use the Positive Looking 1. But we've also got that group of pupils in the school who for who Positive Looking 2 is more appropriate. They're way above the Positive Looking 1 stage, but they still need that support and that intervention in other areas. So we're really looking at developing that Positive Looking 2 now for that group of pupils, and then being able to see where that crossover where they can meet then for some of those pupils who are starting to get to that right top area of Positive Looking 1, and what those developments we can make then in those group sessions, and then what developments we can make within the classroom for them to move into that more Positive Looking 2. And I think what we have at the moment with the group sessions is we have mixed group sessions, but I'd quite like, at the moment, we're obviously not allowed to mix classes at the moment because of COVID restrictions and things. But what I'd quite like maybe in the future is maybe if we had a little bit more of sort of set groups for those groups, and maybe at other times have some set sessions where you can really focus in for some pupils on specific elements of it. So for that young lady who's now looking at photographs, being able to really spend a lot of time on little parts of that little group session that really focusing on the photograph element of it, or for pupils that maybe take a little bit longer and need a little bit more processing time, that they have then that session which is a little bit more focused about awareness and attention and fixation, and lots more light orientated maybe than that little mix and match session that we've got at the moment. So looking at ways that we can not necessarily I'm not saying taking away that mixed session, because it is really nice when they have that mixed session with the whole class, and they do become a little bit more aware of where it's somebody else's turn, so they've got to wait their turn now. But looking at other ways that we can extend that and really look at extending that further,
I think that
in the long term.
That would be brilliant to do. I love that idea of actually having specific skill groups and see where that goes. That would be so exciting. No, I love it. I think like you say, the combination of the mixed group and then that would be great to see what the outcomes of that is. I love it, Charlene. You've completely embraced positive looking, and you've milked it for everything it's worth. And you've completely got everybody on board in your school.